Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Jake. Today we're talking. I can't do this. People were saying I'm kind of a downer when Nadia's not here. I was trying to bring some of the energy. There's no point. I saw Mickey 17 alone in a theater with two other people. There was like a couple there that had gotten there earlier, and I could just see how disappointed they were when I walked in. Mickey 17 is the new film from Academy Award-winning director Bong Joon-ho. It's based on a novel called Mickey 7. It's his first movie after Parasite, which won all the Oscars in 2019. Or was that? No, it'd be early 2020. This is going to sound insane, but I've never seen Parasite. It's one of those things. I was going to watch it before seeing this, but I was like, maybe it's funnier if I don't see it. It's one of those things that's like a movie has such a high reputation that you just kind of avoid it because you're like, everyone's like, oh my God, it's so amazing. It's the best movie ever. And you just are like, all right, well, with that expectation, I'm going to be disappointed regardless. So what's the point? It's human nature to shy away from perfection. But on that note, I have seen Snowpiercer and I love Snowpiercer. I feel like the satire was really well done. It was exciting, great action. I loved everything about that movie. And I feel like I'm delaying the inevitable point in which I say I did not really care for this film, Mickey 17. I wanted to root for this. I mean, I am rooting for it. I hope it does very well because it is like a fun movie. I just don't think it's great. I know it was delayed quite a while and quite a few times because I think the studio was not confident with it. And honestly, after watching it, I kind of get it. I mean, I feel bad saying it, but I don't see this making a ton of money because it's really an oddball kind of movie. Robert Pattinson is great. It has lots of really interesting elements that don't really cohere. And another thing is like after the first 10 minutes of the movie, I went, okay, this might be a good movie. I might be enjoying this and we'll see how the movie goes, but I can already feel from the beginning, this is just not my vibe. I just have a thing with certain movies of this nature that's like quirky, dark comedy, very Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Not that I dislike Hitchhiker's Guide. I felt the humor was a little forced. I mean, it was deliberately over the top, which was cool, but I was hoping for a little more subtext it just felt like it was all very obvious. The stuff I was looking forward to, like the mixed identity kind of thing, which is revealed in the trailer, Robert Pattinson signs up for a program where he is cloned multiple times and he's kind of like a lab rat for a group of explorers going to another planet, and he just like dies over and over and over. However, there's like a mix-up where he doesn't die and he and Mickey 18 coexist or try to coexist. Cool premise. I felt like the movie just wasn't really that interested in that as much, but more interested in building this really wacky world. Very tonally inconsistent and deliberately so. I think that the movie did mostly what it wanted to do. But my main issues with the script, and I hate to say it, but Robert Pattinson's performance, I just couldn't gel with the voice. I mean, he has some great voices. I love when him and The Boy and the Heron. I love basically his whole career, but this was just a step too far of like, this feels like a kid's movie almost, but with like really dark humor. But is it really that dark when it all feels very like not super heavy? Like, I feel so mixed about this movie, guys. I'm really struggling with my feelings. Like, there are some great scenes. It's very well directed. There's some funny moments. I really liked Mark Ruffalo hamming it up, Poor Things style. He's just like entertaining. Toni Collette as his wife. I mean, Ruffalo is like a Trumpian billionaire politician. Again, the satire is very, very obvious and on the nose, but when you play it up so big, it's just kind of amusing. Like, yeah, in a kind of don't look up kind of way. And I'm one of the few people who actually defends that movie and Adam McKay in general. You guys are learning so many new things about me today. I like Don't Look Up, but it's deliberately over the top. And I could tell that with Don't Look Up. I can tell that with this. Like, we're just going for broad. But you could tell the movie has ambitions to really explore Mickey's character, what it means to experience death and to have multiple sides of yourself reprinted and shared. And honestly, like, there's just so much shit in this movie that it's hard to come away with something that's like, besides just like, colonialism is bad. Like, yeah, that's my takeaway from the movie. Billionaires, not nice people. Politicians can be corrupt. Capitalism. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to be mean about this movie, but I can't help that, like, after the halfway point of the movie, when I kind of knew what we were doing here, I just got kind of bored. The final act of the movie is kind of a chore. It's like, okay, I get what's going to happen. Let's just do it Like we're just really slowing down for some kind of emotional impact that really isn't there that much. I cared the most about Mickey and his girlfriend. But then again, their relationship was all over the place. The movie just took so many weird turns that I'm like, am I supposed to care about their relationship? Or is she kind of bad? Like, what are they going for here? Maybe on another rewatch, I'd have a better direction or idea of where the movie's heading. But I would watch scenes. There's a dinner scene with Mark Ruffalo, Robert Pattinson, Toni Collette. Very, very funny. And I love the escalating like bits and gags. Stuff like that is great, but the movie keeps taking these like, it's like stopping and starting every 10 minutes. I wish it had a little more focus because it was like a 2-hour movie, but it felt like 2.5. Retreading some of the themes I noticed in Snowpiercer. I don't know about Parasite because again, I haven't seen Parasite, but from reviews I've seen, this movie's like retreading some of his similar themes. I don't know. It just didn't feel very artistically exciting or new or fresh. Like there's some good scenes, some funny moments. Playing it kind of safe, considering the material. I really wanted to get to the limits of like what this means, what this technology means. Like Robert Pattinson just kind of felt like a cartoon character the whole time. And how about I get into spoilers? Because there's very specific things that bugged me. But before I get into spoilers, I'll just sum it up, say this is like a 6 out of 10 for me. There's good parts in this that I really like. And it's going to be beloved by probably diehard fans of Bong Joon-ho. Or I was getting kind of Everything Everywhere All at Once vibes. And again, this is a me problem. The vibe of it, the whimsy mixed with dark humor that's like, look at the darkness and smile, like embrace the sadness with a grin. Maybe that's not necessarily what this movie's saying, but by the end, it felt a little trite and a little simple. Like, we can all be happy. Like, the satire isn't very cutting. It feels very obvious. The ending didn't feel super earned. It was just like, oh, okay, cool, I guess. All right, spoilers for Mickey 17. I think it was supposed to be obvious to the audience that the creepers, the aliens, saved Robert Pattinson, but he was kind of too stupid to realize that. It was such an obvious turn of events later in the film when they go, wait, they saved you. We need to communicate with them. It felt very like, I've seen this before. I've seen like, oh, the alien race, we have to like connect our species because the bad humans. It's Avatar. It's, it's a trope of this genre, but also Westerns and all sorts of stuff. Colonialism, metaphor, or literally, that's what's going on. And that dominated the second half of the movie and especially the final act of the movie, where it felt like we don't really care that much about Mickeys and their identity and what it means to have, to be two people, but different. That just felt like they dropped the ball. And once I realized, oh, we're just doing like this alien, like colonialism narrative Avatar thing, I was like, okay, I didn't really come into this movie expecting that. The whole story, I didn't feel like we were leading to that. It feels more like Bong Joon-ho and the writers were more interested in building this world, especially Mark Ruffalo's character, which I thought he was great as like a bit comedy character with a couple of scenes that's like a parody of Trump or, whatever. I thought that was funny as a bit, but then he dominated again, like the end of the movie of like being this villain. And I'm like, you're straining credulity. Like, am I supposed to take this seriously? Is this just like dumb fun? It can be both. That was an issue for me. Another huge issue I wish the movie did more with was the fact that Mickey 17 and Mickey 18 are so different when earlier in the movie, we've mostly seen his other versions, like in montage and stuff. It doesn't seem like he's a super different person each time. It seems like he's basically the same guy. But for whatever reason, Mickey 18 is like this hyper-aggressive, cool version of Mickey 17. And you're like, okay. Like, I thought the movie would explore more. Like, I thought it'd be more interesting to see the same guy dealing with himself and what that results in, but instead it was like a guy dealing with a totally new person, but who looks like him. It just was less exciting. And then I realized what the movie was doing. I was like, oh, so he's just a completely different person. He's a sociopath. Like, that's not really exploring the concept in a satisfying way to me. I wanted the movie to do something else. And maybe that's on me for wanting that, but I think that the movie was ignoring certain interesting questions, had a lack of curiosity towards that in favor of funny bits. you know, of like, well, funny. I didn't think it was super funny, but, you know, of the girlfriend being like, you know, Naomi Ackie being like, let's have sex. There's two of you. Let's do drugs. And in that whole thing of like with Naomi Akkie's character, I was like, wait, is she a great person? Because it seems like she's pretty shitty for like trying to pressure Mickey 17 and having sex with Mickey 18 and her when he's clearly uncomfortable. Doesn't seem like she really cares about him, but also she does, because later in the movie we see that she actually was like with him when he'd like die, you know, at other points. So it's like, I don't know how to feel. And it ultimately, like, that's fine. Like, I don't need to be told exactly how to feel about each character, but I need a sense of where we're heading. And when it's like so many different things happening, it just feels like mush. Like, okay, there's just stuff, you know, there needs to be some kind of pattern or direction or organization for me to really enjoy the story. Yeah. I mean, there's the subplots, like Steven Yeun's character they're like, the reason why they're on the ship is because they are being chased by a very cruel loan shark, and at some point he needs to like chop up Mickey's. I mean, I think it was funny, you know, like he needs to torture him with a chainsaw and record it, and that will be their debt settled. Things like that were fun, but it also just came out of like left field, and when the movie was already feeling kind of long, you're just like, I get it. Especially that final act, which again, like, I would have loved this movie a lot more if the final act wasn't so centered on these aliens that like faceless, and like we get the message of like, this is bad, like what Mark Ruffalo and Toni Collette are doing, this is bad, we shouldn't do that. Mickey 17, Mickey 18 saved the day, but it felt like action movie-esque, not in a very like thoughtful manner. You know, Mickey 18 just blows himself up to kill Mark Ruffalo, and that balances the scales between the humans and the aliens. And then Naomi Akkie's character becomes like the leader of their colony, and they end up doing colonialism, but in a nice way. And they blow up the printer that prints dudes. And it's like, yeah, cool. I wish I knew more what that meant for Mickey 17. Again, he just felt like a cartoon character, especially, I mean, in his voice. And I'm sorry, I just couldn't I couldn't buy the voice that much. It's like, hey guys, I'm Mickey 17, and that was a bad impression of it, but I couldn't do the whole movie with that. I really, because it's already like a heightened reality. It's already very silly. I needed a bit more like groundedness. I don't know, guys. Again, this isn't, it's hard because already I could tell this isn't my type of movie. The fact that I like it as much as I do, considering that, is impressive. It really shows a testament to like the craft and the skill of everyone working on this film. Story elements that I liked, you know, some of the comedy worked. I think a lot of it didn't, but overall, this movie is just going to not work for most people because the story is lacking at direction. It just doesn't really have a solid direction. I don't like the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once, but I think it works because it does have a pretty clear direction of what it's doing and saying, and it lands where it needs to. This movie halfway through becomes like Avatar, and but like a sillier version, and that's fine, but it just wasn't what I was hoping for. You know, I feel like it didn't deliver on the promise of the premise to explore what it means to be cloned and to die so many times. Anyways, regardless, I think it's cool that this movie got made. I hope more movies like this get made, and I really do want to see more of Bong Joon-ho's work very soon. Go see it. This is something where I'm like, didn't love a movie. I'm giving it a 6 out of 10, which isn't a bad rating, but it's like, you know, kind of medium. But I'm still saying you guys should go see it in theaters because you might like it. It might be more of your vibe. Thank you for watching, everyone. Man, I wish Nadia could watch this. I'm sure I'll get Nadia to watch this at some point. We'll see what she thinks. Yeah, thank you for watching, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.